I'm here.
It's the
I'm
first
here.
time you've ever been on time.
I was a minute late. My bad. My
We're going to go
bad.
straight to the questions. Jenna Sims wants to know how long is that facial hair going to last?
I don't know. I had the goatee going, and then last night I decided to shave it to just
The
the
goatee,
mustache.
the goatee was horrendous, by the way.
Yeah, I can't grow I can't grow facial hair at all. So it's just about I can grow a great stash and like the flavor saver, but that's about it.
You're looking a lot like your father at the moment, the B.O.B.
Yeah, he used to have a mustache. He used to have a mustache when I was a kid, and then I'll never forget the one day he shaved it. No one noticed. he thought he thought he was so cool. He's shaving it, and he went in and nobody noticed. We were all dying.
Yeah. So
It took us like a couple hours.
what have you been doing? I know you just did what you do, 30 days of no drinking.
Yeah, I did 30 days of no drinking. It didn't
I,
last 31.
how did it feel? Do you feel better?
Yeah, I feel great. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm hungover today, but it's Uh, it was good, man. I feel really good. My body feels good, and it's just nice to be um, like healthy and like making steps in the right direction. Obviously, your knee feels good, and um, yeah, I mean, I just feel good. I haven't felt this good in a long time.
Somebody just said you look like a young Burt Reynolds, which is pretty good. I mean, if
No, it's just
you could do
that.
Smokey and the Bandit right now.
I know. Yeah. I think
So
I always get the Josh Brolin or Bro. I don't
yeah,
know. I always get that one.
yeah. So what have you been doing?
Literally, just every day, wake up, work out. Jenna got a mirror. I got her a mirror for I don't know what was it, Christmas or something like that. And so work out in that mirror. Do my own stuff outside by the pool. Go in the pool. Hang out with my cove, and
Yeah.
that's really it. I don't know if we get kind of a schedule here, try to figure out and go back and start practicing some golf and kind of figure out what the plan is. I
Do you
think
think
everybody's just kind of up in the air.
do you think that June start is realistic?
I don't. I mean, I hope we start in June, but I just think it's a little unrealistic. I mean, you got to think of all these guys that you know they're traveling, they're doing everything. Um, they're going to be in airports flying everywhere. I mean, there's so many guys. You don't know. Everything's got to be cleaned. It's like, is it really possible? I mean, I hope so. I'd love to. There's nothing more than I would love to be back playing, back in competition and feel that. But, um, I hope I'm wrong.
Dude, you're getting roasted for not having earbuds, by the way. That's the best part. Four majors and no earbuds.
Listen, I have them. I have no idea where they're at. And this is
Of
the
course
first
you
thing that
don't.
I found.
Of
Yeah.
course you don't.
Look, I got to be honest. I was not looking for these things until about maybe 5 seconds before I had to come on
Shocker.
here.
Shocker. What do you think about the idea of playing if everybody does go back, playing with no fans?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be weird. Like we draw all the like emotion off of fans and people that that are around us, and it's gonna be super weird. There's no emotion. There's no, you get pumped up because of the fans that are around, and you're not gonna have that. And I think that's gonna be super weird. You make a putt and you're just fist pumping. You make a putt on 18 to finish it, and then all of a sudden you go to like celebrate and it's just you and there's no fans around.
I
like
think that.
it's gonna be weird. You're gonna throw the ball to nobody.
I
Like,
mean, well, it was like at the Players Championship on Monday, and at the Tour Championship they don't let the fans in, and so when you go out in practice rounds, it's always kind of a really eerie feeling.
yeah, it happens. I think it happens. There's a couple of them that there's a couple of days where there's no fans, and it is always weird, even when we're playing practice rounds. I think
Right.
just to have nobody there. But yeah, the atmosphere isn't going to be the same. But also, as a sports fan, I'd love. There's nothing more that I would love than to get to finally watch some sports or watch people play.
Yeah. The Ochos, I mean, are they still doing ESPN 8, the
I
Ocho?
don't know. I mean, it was so bad. I was watching marble racing. Did you watch any of it?
I did. I did. It was unreal.
Yeah, marble racing was pretty good. And then what was it like that belly? It was like not the belly flop. They're like tuck right at the end.
Yeah.
I remember watching that at like 9. We were laying in bed like 9:30.
So I asked Joe Scarver and Ricky the same question the other day. What have you missed the most about not being out on tour?
I think it's just you miss being around the guys. I think that's kind of the one thing. Like, I mean, I've talked to Bubba all the time. I FaceTimed him the other day. I was having breakfast and just FaceTimed him, and yeah, you just miss hanging out with guys, having conversations. It's a big part of our life. It's a big gap that's you're not seeing anybody,
Right.
and yeah, you just miss talking to the guys, hearing stories, joking, laughing around, and everybody's with their families. They're not really picking up the phone and talking to everybody. So that's what I miss the most.
You're not a gamer, are you?
No, I've never played video. In college I played like FIFA, but that was it. I've never. No, I think Jenna would kill me because I'd be on it all day.
Yeah, you just sit
It
there
it
all
wouldn't
day.
be good.
So I thought I'd ask you some questions. One question I've always wanted to ask you. You had to describe yourself as a kid in one word. What would the word be?
Uh, as a kid, annoying probably. I don't think I know I was annoying. It's just I think I was always my parents. I mean, they had to drive me to everything. Whether it was baseball practice or golf or basketball, it didn't matter. And then I think I've always had that like addictive personality where I do something and if I get hooked on it, I just got to keep doing it. And I mean, sports was kind of my thing, and I think I probably drove my parents nuts. I remember, playing basketball till it was midnight, shooting hoops with Chase or doing whatever, and it had to drive my parents crazy.
What how many sports did you play as a kid growing up, and when did you really kind of specialize in golf and just say, listen, I'm not going to play any other sports, and I'm just going to focus on golf?
Yeah, it was probably I don't know somewhere around high school, right around that age. It was okay. Well, let's make this where it's going to be just golf. Maybe like 8th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, I'd say.
Yeah.
I remember in middle school playing high school basketball, and then I realized that I had no chance. I had no chance.
No,
And
zero.
this was for like a small school. It was like a small little Christian school, and literally we weren't playing anybody. But I mean, the fact that I was starting was, I guess, says everything you need to know about how good of a basketball school we were. And it's just, yeah, it was. You figure out it's not going to work. Look, I'm not tall enough. I'm 6'1". I'm not 6'6".
You ain't gonna make it.
Yeah, I don't have the handles. Chase is
What
Chase is actually legit at basketball though.
really?
Yeah, Chase is legit.
What kind of player were you as a junior? What were the strengths of your game? What were the weaknesses of your game? Kind of junior golf, AJGA before you went to Florida State.
Well, I always kind of had power. I think that was a big thing. I've always had speed, except when I was younger, I used to hit a draw. I used to hit a big draw. But I couldn't putt. But ball striking was always been something that's been really very consistent, something I can rely on, especially during a stressful situation, coming down the stretch of a tournament or whatever. It was always something I could rely on. I felt like I could always, even if I putted bad, I always would be like, oh, I'm just going to ball strike it and play my way around the golf course that way. If I hit it I'm going to hit it to 10 feet all day. And even if, I'm a bad putter, but, from 10 feet, I should make some of them. And that was kind of my thought process. But I wasn't that good. I never really won.
Who were the junior golf ballers when you were in AJJ? Like, who were the guys that you looked at and went, man, that guy is really, really good?
Yeah, obviously Pete Uline. Pete was really good. Bud Cauley was really good. Patrick Reed. Um, there were so many guys that were so good, and even a little bit younger than that, there were guys. I just never was one of those top guys. Uh,
You're a late bloomer.
yeah, it's kind of funny, you look back and you're just like, oh man, it's crazy because if you always get beat at something, you want to be really good, and I felt like I was, like a younger brother. You just get beat up, and then finally you're like, all right, I'll figure it out and beat him.
So what was the decision to go to Florida State?
I had no, I literally had UCF that offered me a scholarship, but I did not like UCF. I didn't want to be in Orlando. Now, I know Ricky, my caddy, um, he's in Orlando, but I hated Orlando. I didn't like it, and I think what was the other scholarship was Auburn, but we grew up. We didn't have that much money, so I couldn't afford it because I had to pay for my own school, so I couldn't afford to go to Auburn. So it was pretty limited. I was like, all right, well, it's Florida State. But I remember when I got to Florida State to visit, I went on. I thought it was cool. I loved the red brick. I thought the campus was cool. I liked the coaches. The guys on the team were pretty cool. And I was like, oh, I remember. I think I committed that day when I was up there. But I loved it. I loved everything about it, and it was it was a fun 4 years to say the least.
Obviously, you went there for the academics because you were a great student.
Yes. Yeah, 4.0 GPA. That was me.
If you,
I've told this story. To you a couple times, and there was a test. I'd never opened a book in college. I'm sorry, my coaches, tutors are all probably so mad right now, but I never studied, never did anything. I'll be honest, I was there to play golf, and I knew what I wanted to do. But there was a test, and or there was this class, and I remember we traveled, and I kind of skipped the class on Thursdays, and um, I always said, I told her, I was like, oh, we had to leave Thursday morning, whatever it was. Meanwhile, we were leaving like Thursday afternoon, but I missed like 5 tests, and she's like, you know what? Let's just make it a true and false. I'll give you 10 questions, true, false. You have to, you just come in and we'll take that. Whatever you get is your grade. And
10
literally
questions,
10
true,
questions,
false.
true, false. And so I'm sitting there doing it, and I hand her the test back, and she just like, you got to be kidding me, right? And I was like, why, what? And she's like, you got none of them right. I was like, how is this possible? I mean, come on. I
I
was so
remember,
bad.
I remember you telling that story at Hartford, and Bryson had just turned pro, and you and I looked over at him, and he's kind of doing the math in his head on the probabilities of what it was to get all of them wrong.
I don't know how he figured out exactly what, sorry. Um, Literally, I forget what the probability was, um, but it was unbelievable, the odds of getting every one of them wrong.
If you could go back today, knowing everything that you know right now today, and give yourself advice when you were at Florida State, what would it be?
Just to stay motivated. I think that was something, I think that's what's made me so great is, everybody always talks about that chip on my shoulder, but I used it in college. Um, like I really wanted to go to Florida. I think that's what most people don't even know this, but I really wanted to go. I was a big Florida Gator fan growing up. Um, and they never recruited me. So I was always pissed off about it. I was always mad and whatever. And I just made sure that every time we played, I was always like, all right, well, I'm going to show Buddy Alexander, the coach at Florida, and give him, be like, hey, you really screwed up by not recruiting me. And, that was my thing. And it's kind of always how my life's always been. There's always a chip on the shoulder, always something to prove to somebody. Um,
Any regrets from what happened at Florida State? Do you wish you would have worked harder? Do you wish you would have gone to class more? Do you wish you'd had better attitude?
yeah, it's funny. I think I needed all 4 years. I needed all 4 years to grow up. Um, it's it's funny. You look back on it now, and I was like a little shithead. Like I was annoying. I remember Malloy, my assistant coach, my freshman year. I mean, I must have ran so many stadiums. I mean, if I breathed in the wrong direction, I was running. And I mean, I wouldn't follow suit in everything I did in my freshman year, but it was.
I guarantee you
I knew
never
how to
wore.
cause problems.
I guarantee you never wore the right uniform ever.
You know what? It's so funny, and literally Trey was such a stickler on everything had to be ironed. It had to be perfect. Your outfit, shoes clean. Like
That's not you.
appearance was a big thing. Oh my gosh, and it was so bad.
I guarantee you never showed up with anything ironed.
No, my stuff was like thrown in. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like thrown
You
into a
still don't know
ball.
what you're doing.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, that's funny because you steam or you iron, right?
I
Yeah,
iron all your
you're an
clothes.
ironer. Yeah,
I
yeah. We're
iron
at
all
the
your
major's
clothes at the
house.
majors.
Yeah, I'm like,
All
dude,
of them.
everything shows up. For people that don't know, everything shows up, and Nike will bring it over, and we're scripted for the week, and everything's kind of folded up, and CH will just snatch it all, and it's all hung, and then every day I come out, and like CH it's like a perfect little maid. He sets it out, it's hanging on the door knob and everything. It's kind of funny.
I bring you down hat selections and say, which
Yes.
hat do you want to wear?
Yeah,
You're like, I don't
exactly.
care.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, listen, I'll wear one of these. I don't know. They do come out with some Nike does come out with some pretty unique hats for the majors.
All right, we're going to go to a question. I think it's actually a really good question. If Brandel Chambly asked you to go out to dinner, would you go?
Hell no. Hell no. Hell no.
That's a no.
Yeah, that's a definite no thing. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, do you remember this? We had to get into a golf cart with him
Oh, Matt,
once
at the
at the
Open last
British.
year.
Yeah, and I asked him to
Last
get
year,
out.
we went
Yeah.
and we went from from like where the carts picked us up, and we had to go to the driving range, and Brandel was in the cart.
Yeah. And I was like, "Do you want to get out? I'll sit there." He didn't say anything. I just remember saying that.
He did
Then I sat in
anything.
the back.
We sat in the back and we didn't even say anything.
Oh,
That
that's
was
funny.
another interesting thing that I wanted to talk to you about. Your relationship, obviously over the last 3 or 4 years, obviously now that you've become, you got to be number one in the world, you've won majors, you've got to do a lot more media than you ever used to be, or ever used to do. And I think you've become a lot more honest with the media and kind of speaking your mind. But I think a lot of times you say things for people that don't know you like we know you. I think you say things that make sense in your head and make sense to us that know you. But to people that don't know you, they just come across as you just being, a jackass and not really caring and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Do you,
And I don't
do you,
think my monotone doesn't help either. I know I'm
no,
super monotone, and especially in the press room. Like I always viewed the media as like the enemy. I've always kind of viewed it that way, and kind of had to change my mind as it's I'm learning on the fly. Everything in the last 2.5 years has been come at me so fast, and so you're trying to learn. And okay, well, I used to hold everything back, and now it's like, okay, well, let me be more open and honest, and people honesty pisses people off. So it's
I still
people
think
don't like it.
I still think you should do what we've talked about is just give an entire press conference and just give back rap lyrics. That's
Rap
it.
lyrics, yeah,
Just
I know.
straight rap lyrics.
I could do
Every
that.
single question.
It's so much fun. Just, I mean,
The part I think the
we
part
literally
about
every time we're in a car. I mean, there's always music going. We're always rapping. We always
what's
got
your
some.
what's your favorite jam at the moment?
The box
The
right
box.
now. Yeah.
If you could be a rapper, which rapper would you be?
Oh, Lil Wayne. The show. The show.
Tell everybody the Lil Wayne
Uh,
story when you were in LA after
oh yeah, that was great. So I just won Aaron
Aaron Hills.
Hills, and so we decided we all flew to Vegas. It was me, Jenna, you,
Ricky, Blake.
Blake, Ricky, yeah. Blake's my agent, and so we changed the flight, went to Vegas, and probably it was. I mean, we partied so hard on the plane. I think when we got there, we really just sat there and just kind of admired
Yeah,
admired the
we
trophy. We didn't
just
really
looked
do
at the
much.
trophy. I
Yeah,
remember
we
when
just sitting in the room.
we were landing, and as we were landing in Vegas, you looked at your watch and you said, "It's only 1:30 in Vegas."
I did, yeah. I've enjoyed Vegas. I've had some good times, but literally, I mean, it was so much fun. And then, um, well, yeah, I mean, we had a blast. Went out there, and I think Ricky or Blake left. We spent a week there pretty much.
Ricky left the trophy, didn't he?
Yeah, he left the trophy. Those people that don't know, Ricky. So we tried to take the trophy in somewhere, and they're like, "Oh no, we don't let the big trophies in, like the Stanley Cup and all that stuff." And so we tried to explain to the guy that it was kind of a big trophy, and so we left it in, like the hostess stands when you walk into a restaurant. There's like a cubby hole at the bottom. There's like a cubby, like a little area or whatever. So we put it in the cubby hole as we went to the restaurant, and just left it there. And I mean, when we walked out, but we had to go in an elevator up a couple floors to dinner, whatever it was, and we come back and it's still there. And we're like, wow, this is there. And I was mad at Rick. I was like, dude, I didn't never wanted to take this out. I was like, I'm 100% going to lose this, ding the thing, whatever it's going to be. We're going to ruin this. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to explain this to anybody. And sure enough, so it's early morning, and Rick's coming back. One of his buddies came out there, and he's kind of holding the trophy, whatever, and just swinging it. And
Dinged
this
it.
lady comes up and taps him on the shoulder. She's like, "Hey, is this yours?" And it was the top of the U.S. Open trophy that had fallen off as he was getting around. And then so he goes to check in or go into his room, and he sets it down, and then puts the key up against the door, and just walks right in and leaves the trophy outside.
And no one
The
stole it.
entire time, and nobody stole it. Only in Vegas could that happen, where Ricky could do that. But so, anyways, we decided we're going to go to LA, but me and Jenna kind of kept the party going, and so we're there, and I'm on the phone, and I had to do an interview with, I forget who it was, but I'm on the phone doing this interview, and all of a sudden I just hear like a little bit of commotion coming from the staircase, and I turn around, and I just smell so much weed. And I'm like, whoa, like, what is going on? And I turn around, and there's these three dudes walking at me, and two of them were just massive. I mean, guys were 6'8", 350. And then I see this dude who's like 5'6" in between them, and I'm like, giving this interview. And I'm like, holy shit, that's Lil Wayne. That's Lil Wayne. And like, just completely forgot about the interview, what I was doing. I'm like, dude, this is so awesome. I'm like, I love it.
And you
I
didn't
mean,
get
I
a
love
picture
Lil
with
Wayne.
him.
No, I didn't get a picture because I was kind of like, what do I say? And I forget, like, I like stuttered. I didn't know what to say, dude.
Yeah, I met at I went to Puma 360, this big thing in Germany this year, and Jay-Z was there. I remember calling you and telling you I met Jay-Z, and so we were all in this VIP area, and Jay-Z's standing there, and I'm like standing right next to him, and there's nobody else around, and I'm like, "Hey man, I'm Claude," and he goes, "Yo man, what's up? I'm Jay," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's the coolest thing that's ever happened to me."
Yeah, he's legit, man.
And
Jay's
so
awesome.
somebody came up and said, said what I did and said, "Hey, do you play golf?" And he goes, "No, but I can rap." I'm like, that's the second. I said that's the second best thing anybody's ever said to me.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Those
Um,
guys are hilarious.
I thought this was a good question. How do you know when you're good enough to turn pro? How did you know? What was the decision to where you said, you know what, I'm going to go turn pro. I think I can make a career out of this.
Um, I don't think I ever knew. I mean, I still didn't know if I was going to make it. I remember going over to the challenge store being like, okay, am I good enough? I mean, you see guys, you play with guys. I grew up here in Jupiter, or West Palm, and I would play against these guys that I was playing against for 10 plus years.
Yeah.
Steve Marino.
Sonny Kim, the
Yeah,
minor league legend.
all these guys. I'm trying to. Brad Adamonis. He played at Sherbrooke where my dad played, and I just never knew. I thought they were unbelievable, but at the same time, no knock on Brad, but he wasn't a world beater. he wasn't the top 10 in the world. So you're always kind of like, well, dude, I don't beat this guy very much, and every time we play, he's getting beat by these guys, Tiger, Ernie, all these guys that VJ you've watched for years and years and years, and you're like, oh man, can I really do this? So I don't think you ever quite know, and then you get out there and you find your way, and you got to have a lot of self belief. You might not be sure, but you got to convince yourself that you are going to make it. And I think that's part of what sets apart the guys that make it and don't make it.
Yeah,
There's a lot of a lot of luck just to get out there. It's harder to get out there. It's easy to keep your card.
right.
I think that's everybody kind of knows that,
You,
and it's very difficult.
do you think what's the biggest difference between guys that are playing what game wise, the playing of the game, not golf swing, not technique, playing mini tours. You played on the minor league down here in Jupe. You're going over and you're not on the main European tour, on the web and stuff. What do you think is the biggest difference in the actual playing of the game part that people don't realize?
Ooh, that's difficult. I don't think people realize, those, and I'll be the first one to say it. Those guys, there's not that much difference between those guys that are playing out here and the guys that we play on week in, week out. Like, it's just a matter of opportunity. And I think a lot of times with that little bit of that separates guys that are on tour or versus guys that are playing, mini tours is just that little bit of feeling comfortable in those uncomfortable situations. I think that's one thing that I've noticed that guys on tour, those situations where it's like, okay, I really need to take advantage of it. They're definitely way more comfortable than the guys who haven't been there and haven't. But part of it is they haven't done it. You know what I
Right.
mean? They don't get. They might think, hey, this is my one chance to make it. This is my one chance where I got to take advantage of it. And it's like, they end up putting too much pressure on themselves, things like that. But there's not really much of a difference, I think, between the guys that are playing, not minor league, but mini tour golf and whatever it might be versus the guy that's, just keeping his card. There's not that much difference. A little bit of, a break going their way. But it's always interesting to see because some of those guys you play with, around here in Jupiter, and you're like, dude, there's no reason this guy should be
Yeah,
out
for
me every
sure.
week playing.
Yeah, absolutely. I know the answer to this question, but I think it's an interesting one for everyone to hear because we were in Abu Dhabi this year, and that kid Josh Hill was playing with you, that amateur kid, and he asked you on one of the holes, how many pins around do you shoot at? How many flags around do you go at? How many would you say in a normal PGA Tour event? How many pins are you actually going at?
Not many. There's not many. Usually for me, it's anything inside of a 9 iron. So, 165 yards and in is usually a go. But with that being said, if it's a left pin, with water on the left, I'm not going to go for it. I'm gonna bail out a little further right just because of the shot shape I hit. And um, yeah, I mean, I would say maybe 3 or 4 pins usually.
Majors? Rarely.
At majors, yeah. I mean, it gets less and less. We always try to, we've had this conversation where we've talked about it openly, and at majors, it's always so conservative. I'm always just being like, all right, let's just hit the green. It doesn't matter if it's 65 feet or it's 5 feet, but just play to the fat of the green or make sure you're playing conservatively aggressive. I think that's the word that we've kind of adopted over the last couple of years, but conservatively aggressive. And when you find that in the majors, it doesn't matter if I've got 100 yards or I've got 275 and there's water everywhere. It's the line is the line. You just hit it there. You don't get caught up in the situation. You don't get caught up in anything else. You just hit it there. That's what it is. And then a lot of times in the regular tournaments, it's like, dude, I got 8 iron pins back right. I mean, this is right in my wheelhouse, and I'm going right at it.
Right.
Where in a major, I'd be like, no, I'm just going to hit it 15 feet left, short. 8 might not be the perfect stick to get all the way back there, but it's the correct shot.
What is it about your personality that makes you feel so comfortable in majors? What do you think it is?
I just I always believe that I can handle everything better than everybody else, whether it's a bad situation. Um, my goal in major championships is never make a double. That's my goal. Every time we always play in a major championship is never to make a double. Um, sometimes it happens. There's nothing you can do about it. But I'm always just trying to make the best score, make the best of a bad situation. If you're in the trees, okay, all right, let's just chip it out and we'll find a way. And if I make five, I make five because it takes 2 holes to recover from a double where it's only one for a bogey. And in a major championship, a lot of times bogey doesn't kill you. Half the other guys that are playing the hole are going to make bogey. So it's just like, all right, well, I'm just part of those guys. And, that's always my goal. But then when I'm playing, I think I feel like I can beat everybody mentally. And that's just the truth. I really do feel like the mental side of everything separates me from everybody else.
Do you feel the pressure, and are you aware of the fact that it's pressure, nervous? It's especially when you get to the back nine. I mean, obviously back nines on Sundays are very different than the rest of the tournament. But do you feel it, or is it something as the player? Because I've never been in that situation. What's it like? What are you feeling as a human being?
It's so much fun. It really is. I love it. I love every second of it. Like the competition, that's what we play for. That's what we practice for. That's something that has been, I guess, ingrained in me since I was a little kid. You always want to set yourself up the entire week so that you're within three with 9 holes to go. We've talked about that a million times. It doesn't matter what happens on the first hole, whatever, 36th hole, 54 holes. Listen, you need to have a chance to win with 9 holes to go and make something happen. A lot of times, things might fall your way. A lot of times, you might give it to somebody, whatever it is, just give yourself a chance. And we've always done a good job of that. But I love the fact of all of a sudden, let's say you're 3 back and you birdie 10 and all of a sudden it goes to 2. And I've been there, and the guy's thinking, oh no, oh no. And you can kind of be like, all right. And that's like something I love, or I feed off of, because he's going, oh man.
You love getting right near the lead and then rinsing it into the water at 12 at Augusta and basically giving the tournament to Tiger. Nice going.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll tell you what, it was funny because I was over at my dad's house for Easter, and my dad's a massive golf. Bob's a massive,
The BOB.
massive, yeah, the BOB. He's a massive sports guy, or golf guy. So obviously we got to watch Augusta, right?
I've got to think that was painful watching Augusta, you playing with Bob.
Yeah, it was just funny. It was interesting because you always wonder when you're playing, you're like, everything seems like I black out. I can't remember shots. I go to a completely different world in my head. It's so different. The way things are remembered, it's so different. I don't have the photographic memory. I can't remember, hey, did I miss it on the low side? Did I miss it on the high side? What I did. It's like everything goes so quick for me, and I can't remember anything. We've talked about it. I've played 18 holes, walked off, and been like, man, I'm not really, like, I sometimes don't even know what I shot. But we're watching it, and I'm watching my tee shot in 12 go in the water. And I think what people don't realize, I was 2 back of Fran, so I still had to make a move.
Yeah, Frankie.
Yeah, and it wasn't. You're never aiming for that pin. You're always aiming at the right side of that bunker, and you hit it. And as well as anybody, if I don't think people know, I backed off the shot before it. I went in, I stepped in, and I felt the wind puff up into, or it was off the left or something. And it was completely different than what it was 2 seconds before that. And we backed off, and I remember thinking, okay, all right, well, maybe it needs to be flighted a little bit more or whatever. And I thought I did it. And there's sometimes, look, I hit a great shot. I wouldn't take it back. In the air, I was loving it. And I thought, oh, man, here we go. I'm licking my chops. I'm going to make birdie here in the air. Dude, this can be great. And, I know that they're all watching. I was like, oh, this is your chance. And then it did not pitch on the green. I was
What?
like, oh, man.
So it goes in the water, and what's the first thought that went into your head? Don't swear.
Yeah. I actually didn't complain. I don't know. If there is video, but I just handed the club back to Rick, and I think I waited a couple seconds because I didn't want to let Poulter know, or whoever else we were playing with, Webb, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't want to let them know how the hole was playing, because a lot of times then if I'm not, you see guys, you're not playing mind games, but it kind of is. You're kind of like, all right, well, it takes away a lot of the senses if a guy comes out, he's like, I hit that bad. Well, I know I'm a club longer than him, and he hit it bad, and he came up just short. I know it should be perfect. But if a guy doesn't say anything, sometimes you're like, oh, well, now I have to, okay, I'm really thinking, well, how'd that contact sound? How did everything goes? And you can kind of play, not mind games, but you let just a little bit of uncertainty. And that's
Yeah.
the one thing you don't want to do when you're on the 12th tee at Augusta. You don't want any uncertainty. And, I mean, hey, it was a good shot. And I think I whispered it to him after a Poulter hit or something. I was like, I actually hit that exactly how I wanted. And then I think there's a few curse words walking all the way down to the water, and even the drop. I think I was so mad, but I think I was like, I'm out of this. I'm done.
And then you eagle the next hole.
And then I'll never forget. I dropped the ball. I tipped it up to maybe 6 feet or whatever it was, and I really remember Ricky saying to me, "You make this, and we still got a chance." And I remember thinking, man, we're now going to be 3-4 back, whatever it is. Sure, whatever. And then sure enough, you go on an eagle the next hole, and I'm like, okay, all right.
Now you're right in it.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I'm back. And then it's kind of funny, you look back at it. I remember being down or like tied for the lead, whatever it was, really close on 15, and I remember my eagle putt. I'd convinced Ricky before I'd hit it that I was actually going to make the putt. Like there are times every once in a while where you kind of don't even have to say anything to him. Or I won't even discuss the putt. He's such a bad reader of greens anyways, but the guy can't read a putt. I never asked. I mean, he can't. And he's a great putter too. That's the funny part. You just can't. We can't match speed and line, and we don't see it the same way. But I remember saying to him, I was like, I'm going to point at Tiger if I make this thing. And I still, to this day, cannot believe that putt missed. I have no idea how. And then it's funny, you look back at 17 and 18, you had good chances. And it's so funny because 18 was a new green. I don't know if many people know that. And that putt always turns left. It's always turned left in years past. You always see guys, and if they make it, they always make it on the low side, like Phil's putt or whatever. It always kind of like dribbles to the low side. And Poulter had the exact same putt I did from about 2 feet longer, and his went right. And I remember it. I probably spent another minute trying to read the putt and discussing it with Ricky on 18 because I'm like, oh, okay, I got to put pressure on Tiger, do all this stuff, and it's interesting. And then I hit a good putt, and if I'd have just swapped it with Poulter, it would have been perfect. I played it like I think right at, or inside right is what we went with, and then of course it breaks exactly how you think it does. But that is what it is, man. Sometimes, hey, it's just not your week, and you just got to get on with it.
Question that I had for you. You could choose right now, if you could call Steve Stricker and say, I want this guy to be my partner. He's never played on a President's Cup team. He's never played on a Ryder Cup team. And I want you to pick him because I want him to be my partner in the Ryder Cup. Who would it be?
And they've never played?
Yeah.
In one of them? I don't know. I like Matt Wolf. I love Matt Wolf. I think he's a cool kid. Number one, he's fun to play with, um, and I think he's gonna be really good.
I do too. I mean,
I
he's
really
got
do. I think that whole new generation that's coming out is
Victor Hovland,
very
Colin
impressive. Yeah,
Morikawa.
Victor Hovland's super impressive, but obviously European. But Colin Morikawa,
That guy's flushing it.
I've watched him on TV a little bit, but I've never seen him in person. Like played 9 holes with him or played with him in a tournament. But it's impressive, man. You watch these; they're ready to go when they come out. It's totally different than it was 10, 15 years ago.
For sure. All right. Another question that I wanted to ask you. So we're going to go through, we're going to leave you out. We're going to go through the top 10 players in the world, and you can take something from their game. Okay? So if you could take something from Rory's game, what would you take?
The way he drives the ball, so impressive.
It's a joke, isn't
I,
it?
I don't think people realize how, yeah, we always talk about how good of a driver he is, but the fact that he literally steps up on every hole and it's like, yeah, I'll pull the driver, and the fairway is like 20 yards wide, and it sometimes it doesn't even suit, it looks like it's going to suit his eye. And you're literally like, oh my gosh, he just piped it right down the middle. You're like, okay, I'll just hit my 4-iron. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? It's so impressive. I don't think it might be arguably, I think, probably one of the greatest weapons of any player in this generation.
For sure.
You know, you always look at Tiger and his putter and things like that. It might go down as probably one of the greatest clubs ever, but Rory and his driver has got to be up there too, man.
What do you like about John Rahm?
John, I love his competitiveness.
Yeah.
I think you see it. He's very feisty, fiery, super super competitive, and I think that's what makes him so good and competes consistently. He does have a temper, but at the same time, it's good to see that. I don't mind a little bit of temper as long as you're not destroying greens or anything like that. It means you care. You have to have a little bit of that, and
Yeah, for sure.
I think sometimes it comes across the wrong way, but at the same time, it's what makes him very, very good.
Justin Thomas. What do you take? What do you like about? What would you take from JT's game?
Man, there's really not much about JT. No, I'm just kidding. I think I'll tell you what. The one thing that I've noticed with JT over the last 2 years is how much his wedge game has improved. How
Yeah.
much, or we've talked about this, and it's amazing over the last 2 years. Everything when JT first came out on tour, everything was like full bore. It was always, all right, well, it's a full pitching wedge, or I'll just hit the pitching wedge harder, or the gap wedge harder, sand wedge harder, to kind of fill in those gaps. But now, the way I see it, he's kind of toned everything back where it's, with his wedges, okay, if it's 115, I'm going to hit the correct shot, not the club that goes 115, but it's going to spin, it's a back pin. It's not going
Right.
to rip. He'll hit okay, I'm going to take some spin off it, flight it in there a little bit, and drill it in there. And I think it's been really, really impressive to see. I think he's a hell of a player. Known him forever. And it's to see where it was 2 years ago to where it is now. I think that's part of the reason why he's had so much success over the last 2 years.
For sure.
We always knew he was talented, but I think that put him in that upper echelon group.
DJ?
DJ.
I mean, you guys play a similar type game.
Yeah, we do. That's why I like playing practice rounds with Dustin. We hit it pretty much the same distance, pretty close. So I know if it's like basically watching yourself when you play a practice round. If let's say, okay, there's something that's 310 to carry, and I can't carry it. Okay, well now I got to go around it. Well, now I have 3 balls. Dustin pushes his and it carries it. Okay, well I know if I smash it, and I push it, it's going to be close. It's going to be close. So it's like you get three to five balls every tee shot to watch and go, okay. It's like watching yourself and going, okay, well, if I do miss it here, I do this, what's going to happen? So I think Dustin, the best part about Dustin's game is his iron play. I think
Yeah,
he's
his
very
iron,
underrated.
dude, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think he gets enough credit for that. He's a picker of the ball. He doesn't smack down on it. He's not going to make a big divot, but his distance control is really good, and I
Yeah,
think
with his
that's.
irons, he's pretty good.
If you ever notice, watch him. Watch him in a practice. Everything's pretty much pin high. It might not be online, but it's pin high.
I already know the answer is everything, but what would you take about Adam Scott's game, your man crush?
Oh, everything, dude. I love that guy. I have the biggest man crush on Scotty ever. Oh my gosh.
Bigger man crush on Scotty growing up than Tiger?
Yeah, for sure. I loved Scotty. Scotty was my idol, man. He's and the thing is, he's an even better dude when you
He's
get
the
to
best.
like meet him and talk to him. He's just genuinely one of the nicest human beings I've ever been around, and he's been somebody I kind of leaned on. I remember in China a couple of years ago, like I was in a bad place, and just kind of talked to him about some things and his life and how things have gone and how he's handled certain things, and it's been really cool. I've always looked up to him. I still get excited when I know I know I'm going to play with him. Like at Bay Hill, I was like, yes, I get to play with Scotty. I'm excited. He's my favorite one to play with, just because that was my idol growing up.
What do you like about Patrick Reed's game? P. Reed gets a lot of grief for a lot of reasons are legit because he does some things that make people not like him. But what do you like about Patrick's game? If you
Dude,
could take something,
his short game is a joke. How
it's
good it
filthy.
is.
It's
I don't
filthy.
think people realize how good of a wedge player around the greens that he is. I'll never forget. I played in Charlotte a couple of years ago. It was me, Tiger, and him. And P. Reed was in this play. I thought there was no chance he could get it within 15 feet of this chip, and hits it, and chips it to literally kick it. And I'm like, oh my gosh! And Tiger even says to me, I just don't understand. I don't understand it. He's that good. He's that good around the greens. And I think that's one thing that's been super misconstrued over the last couple months of just because I said hey, I thought he cheated, but also at the same time there's nobody we've talked about it. That's who I would love to play Ryder Cup matches with.
Yeah, he's tough.
I like it. People are obviously going to give him shit, but I could care less. I'm gonna be right there. And if somebody wants to get in his face, I'll be right there too. He doesn't need Kessler.
Patrick Cantlay.
Great putter.
Yeah, he puts
I
it
think
good.
I think he puts it really good. I think. I know he takes a long time to read him, but he's a good green reader. Has to be if he's a good putter, good touch control. He's just a solid putter. Everything seems to. His stroke is really good too. I like his stroke. I've watched it on the putting green a couple times, just kind of messing around. You catch something out of the corner of your eye and keep looking at it. But he's got a good putting stroke.
Two more. Webb Simpson.
Webb's a grinder, man.
Yeah, straight grinder.
He, he's not. He might not pass the eye test. You're like, oh wow, great ball striker. You might not think that, but he is. He strikes it really good. He puts it good too, man.
Yeah.
You talk about you got to have like that little bit of extra, and Webb has that. Webb has that. I'm just gonna get it in the hole. I don't care how. I'm gonna find a way. He hits some wild ones, I've seen it. I'm sure he would say the same thing. But man, that guy's just a competitor. I love it. I think it's great. It's fun to watch him play when you're around him and Paul. They talk a lot. They talk it through everything, and it's cool to see. They both they're believing in everything they're doing, and I think it's fun to see as a player. When you take a step back.
Last one of my favorite players, and I think he's going to win majors, Tommy Fleetwood. I mean, such a good ball striker.
So underrated.
Dude, the guy is
So
just
underrated.
so legit.
He's good, man. He's got some serious lettuce though.
Would you take the hair?
Uh-uh.
No.
I like the clean cut. I mean, I had the flow back in the day, but no, I can't. I mean, I got Philly coming out to cut my hair all the time. When we were in Vegas, when I saw your dad, I flew Philly out there to cut my hair. It's bad now.
It's what a baller you are. You're flying people out to cut your hair.
I don't know, but he's the man. And then I don't think I could let it grow long. I had my driver's license. You remember that?
Do you still have it?
I had to get a new one the other day.
Oh.
I know. Lady asked me if I wanted to keep. I mean, I look like Chewbacca, Puyos combined. Like my hair was like down to here. It was bad. I can't. I mean, I'm dying. I'm dying for a haircut right now. But
So
Tommy's so good, man. I don't think anybody over here in the States realizes how good he is, and he's going to win a lot, and he's going to win a lot of majors.
Yeah, I mean, I think his golf swing, I think, is so solid, and the way he hits golf balls is. I mean, he's one of the people on tour that I'll actually sit and watch. I'm waiting for you. I'll go stand by him and Finno and watch him hit golf balls.
Yeah.
Best thing about Ricky Elliott, your caddy, and the worst thing about Ricky Elliott, your caddy.
Ricky knows exactly, and I think this is part of what's being such a good caddy, and what kind of separates him is he knows exactly what to say at the right time. Sometimes it's all right. He's got to light the fire under me a little bit. Sometimes he's might not need to say anything. Just keep quiet. Let me, be mad for my 5 minutes or do whatever. He understands me so well, and I think that's part of being a caddy. It's not just okay. Well, it feels like there's 15 to hurt. It's knowing what to say, knowing your player, knowing exactly how to motivate them sometimes, and really you got to be a people person. And Ricky's the best. I love that guy. Like he's my own family. And you're the reason why we're actually together. I don't know if people know that. My guy, I was caddying for me on the Challenge Tour, couldn't come to the States. He would have been in some trouble. So I was like, all right, we got to get a caddy. And you're like, hey, Ricky Elliott, he's got great calves.
Calf game is strong.
It's a joke. I don't get it. Don't get it, man. He doesn't even work out his legs, and his calves are like 3 times the size of anybody else's.
Anything that he does on the golf course that kind of gets to you sometimes?
What does he do? Yeah, there's something he does that actually really does drive me nuts. I'm trying to think of it right now. He's been bad with getting waters lately. Like, there's no water in the bag.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like
no
dying
water.
for a drink. I'm like, hey, I need a water. Let's go on the next tee.
These are the epitome of first world problems. You're flying people out there.
I'm trying to think. No, but there is something that he does, and I can't remember what it is. God, what is it? I'll think of it. But I mean, I love the guy. He's the best caddy, I think, and he's going to be in my bag for a long time.
I hope so.
Yeah. Hopefully we're all on the team for a long time, man. It's working right now.
Yeah. Somebody asked, and seeing as I'm here, I'd love to hear the answer. What advice would you give a player who's trying to find a coach? What do you look for in a coach? What do you think players should look for when they're trying to find someone to help them with their game?
I think it's important that when you go to, you start talking to the coach, figure out what they want. Me personally, I'm not technical. You know that. I know that. If I started thinking of, hey, it's got to be in this spot, it's got to be in that spot, you got to understand who you are as a person. Are you very technical? Number one. And is the coach technical? Because I'm sure you could be technical. I don't know.
Sure.
But we've never gone there because you understand that I can't do that. And I think that's what's so good. What makes you so good is you have to make sure that that coach isn't teaching, okay, well, you got to get into this. There's some coaches, you need to be in this spot, and you go all the way up, and you've got to hit all these spots. I'm not going to name names, but there's a lot of coaches who do that. And I'm not technical, so I couldn't do that. That wouldn't
Yeah,
work for me. You really have to understand the philosophy that they're trying to do, figure out what they're working towards. Understand shot shape. Okay, well, all of a sudden you're a cutter and you're like, I want to draw the ball, and all of a sudden you're doing a whole revamp of the swing. Do you really want to do that? Like, is this coach just have guys that hit draws? I always look at. I remember when we were who does the guy coach?
yeah,
And it's not about, okay, well, are they great players, but does he have a wide variety of guys, and how does he handle them? I think that's important too.
for sure.
I'm trying to find it. You do all. They don't all swing the exact same. They don't all hit this one shot. Can the guy, okay, if you get into this weird position, can you get out of it? Can he help you out of that? And I think sometimes when you're playing position golf or swing position, it doesn't work. But just understand who you are, and then make sure that the coach matches that.
Perfect. All right. Well, I've taken up enough of your time. Please go shave that ridiculous mustache. It's horrendous.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Are you going to keep it?
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna keep it. I had the goatee till yesterday. So what are we? 32 days in now on this
32
quarantine, or
days
for
in.
us, yeah, or whatever it is. I can't. I'll be back the first week. I might. First week we're back playing. I'll have it.
Well, hopefully we're back playing soon, and hopefully we're back practicing soon. I'm ready
Dude,
to do that.
I can't wait. I just can't wait, man. It's weird to have this much time off, and in the middle of the season, you're like, I just want to go hit balls. I want to go putt or go do something. Because I don't have anything in my house, so
Yeah.
I got to go up to the flow, practice with you, do whatever, and get back into the swing.
All right. Well, hopefully we can do it soon. Stay safe. Stay home too. Don't be going out.